Okay, so this raising, lowering action in really elite players, it's so beautifully blended you'll never see it. But if you watch a McIlroy practice or something, you're going to see him doing this a lot, because the faster your hips are, the faster this has to get down. Now, I'm not casting it out, definitely not pulling it forward, and I'm not actually bringing my hands down. I'm bringing my elbow down. No, that does bring my hands down. So, but when I do this, you see how the club head stays behind me. Basically, that's a draw, that's straight, that's a fade.
Yep.
But the point is, you'll tend to do that intuitively based on the shot you're trying to hit.
Yep.
But that simply needs to happen. Yeah. This elbow does not need to go forward. It only goes down. And I think that's a problem.
Because you're saying that the body rotates forward.
Exactly. So when the elbow lowers and the body turns, it will kick the arms out off the body to this beautiful impact position. But if you stop this impact, Ross, here, from a face-on camera, you'd say, oh, your hands are forward of your body. No, they ain't. They're forward of the club head. They're opposite my trail hip. They're not opposite my lead hip. They're opposite my trail hip. So I have no responsibility in my arms to go this way. This is their sole purpose in golf. Down. Because then when you turn the hips, I like saying pelvis, because I could spin my hips, but I can't confuse my pelvis. So when I turn my pelvis, you see how that kicks the club out, keeps the hands in.
And delivers the club head.
And delivers the club head. So it's never your job, unless you're not doing this. So many amateurs have to cast the club head because they don't have the simple motion of, you can really see this in like a DeChambeau rehearsal. You've turned on the Masters. He's always working on this, because all these powerful, fast, lower body guys know that they're screwed if the arms don't get down. It's funny, yesterday, McIlroy was swinging so good, he was actually hitting it too far and got in trouble on a couple holes.
He blew by Oberg about 40 yards in a hole, and I didn't think it was possible.
I know, because Oberg's ridiculously long.
And McIlroy put it by 40 yards.
When McIlroy's on, it's the most beautiful driving exhibition you've ever seen.
Ever.
And it's funny that we're talking about it, because no one works on this one. The reason he split the grip, because you can feel it easier.
Oh.
Because what's hard to identify when your hands are together on the club, it's hard to identify the faults. It's it's hard to feel it, but as soon as you split your grip, you really get an understanding that this arm is just lowering. This is what I was talking about earlier. Essentially what it does in the backswing is it raises, folds a little, and the wrist goes back. Well, what's the opposite of that? I got to lower it and straighten it. Now the lowering is you, straightening is a freebie because you got a club in your hand.
Right.
So you don't have to think about all that shit. But for me, everything makes sense to me as soon as I figured out that was my golf swing. And if I was left-handed, it'd look like a frisbee throw. I don't want to take the time. I've already trained my right side for 50 years.
Right.
I don't need to worry. This just needs to be an inert lever. Now, if you were to decide to focus on the lead arm release, then this arm technically would have to become more passive. But I think we need to train that arm.
Which one, left or right?
Right.
Right.
No, your left is great. Because the number one thing that stabilizes the club face at impact is trail arm extension. Now, but see there, if you don't bring it to your side first, here, look what it does. If you don't bring it to your side and you try to straighten it, you see how it flips around?
Yep.
But if I bring it to my side and straighten it, now look how much it's supported by the body. Because this arm straightening down, that's what stops your club from flipping left. Don't think about when you're chunking it, that's fine when you're going through like a chunking principle. But ultimately, I would prefer that you felt that it comes down and straightens sort of as a flow. Yes, perfect, Ross. You feel that? That's beautiful. And so if that arm is too slow, all this other good stuff that you're doing is going to flip the club face.
Yep.
Whereas if that arm is fast enough, you see how stable
That's
that
why
looks?
we have that same issue with the right arm.
Exactly.
That's my I'm not as coordinated with it.
I honestly think it's your, you know, for you getting to where you are to being like a scratch player, it's the only issue. You do everything else at the level of a scratch player. This is the one thing that you don't do. And without that, you don't have a stable enough club face and impact. And you're prone to big ass misses.
Big ass misses.
Right?
Especially a lot of chunks these days.
Because Tiger was really big about this. The club face and the right hand are the same thing, right? So if you told me to hit the ball with my right hand, I could square it 100 times in a row. Now, in golf speaks, because it's out here on the lever system, if the arm doesn't get, see if that arm gets down in like this, how stable my club face is. If I don't do that, look how flippy that exactly that gets. And it's funny, when you do that, your body actually starts moving beautifully because it's just reacting. It knows it needs to get out of the way and get out of the way. I just don't think we have to talk about it very much. We have to synchronize up. Yep. And essentially, I want your left arm like we talked about. You already do this well. It basically needs to stay connected. It moves with your pivot. It has to rotate back to square.
That's it.
That's it. It's like an inert lever. That's its only job.
Okay.
Just focus on what we just talked about, Ross. Just feel like you're focusing exclusively on that and try to do the elbow up and down a little faster. That's so good right there.
That looked good.
Isn't that good? It's so powerful. I know it's a little left. I don't care. I just love how solid you hit that.
Me too.
It's just beautiful. That's outstanding. That's beautiful. Because the holy grail then is to be able to sync, what you did there, Ross, is to be able to sync this with the pivot. They're I love the idea.
I want more video of you.
I love the concept that they're synchronized, because synchronization is a perception. It's not positional in nature, right? I'm not thinking about the position of my club, not thinking about the orientation of anything. I'm, again, process. What's my process?
I'm listening. At first, the pivot doesn't begin until here.
Exactly.
You got to get past your knee.
You got to get past your knee.
Is that the right way?
Yeah, you're taking the whole thing. I don't know what you want to call this. You're just taking the old school reference was one piece takeaway.
Yeah,
it's okay. I don't love it. Don't hate it. Basically, if your club is in this orientation right now, when I get to here, it's in the same orientation. So nothing is happening until I get to here.
And it's not your hands that take it up.
No, it's the whole. To me, it's your core.
Right.
Your rib cage, your core.
When I get crappy, it's my hands.
It's your hands.
It's my hands that take it up.
And you struggle because your hands want to take it to here, and then your hands want to take it to here.
That's correct.
And what we're saying is your core transports it to here. Now this is where everybody might feel this a little bit different, but what I feel like takes it up is I feel like I continue to turn my core, but I raise that right arm. You see how that
That's
holds?
why we talked about the feel of the right arm all last year.
Exactly. And that holds my structure. It's a great way to refer to the arms as you want the arms to maintain their structure. You don't want the elbows to separate, you don't want the arms to come together. But what maintains their structure, because you have to keep it on a diagonal plane, is there has to be right arm elevation. Yes. Yeah. In unison with your pivot. Sometimes you don't pivot your hips enough.
I don't.
Yeah. That's pretty common too. That's outstanding.
Blocky right, but you like
So what? Doesn't matter. It's not a stuck flip.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not a stuck flip. Which is
what I would tell you makes it block, again, I'm going to go to the same thing, is the right arm has to be faster.
Okay.
And there are, and I just want you to understand, there are references we can make to the lead arm, and that's okay. But my problem with that right now is if we focus on the lead arm, then we're not training this one to keep up. Because you could be like a Justin Rose, where Justin Rose basically see him doing this all the time.
Yep. Every time he
He's more lead side focused, so he's thinking about his left arm down. Tiger, right side dominant players are thinking about the trail arm. Now, ultimately, we may agree that the lead arm is the best reference, but I need more training. Does that make sense?
It does.
Before we get there.
Let's talk about the training elements too. Like,
Yes.
how am I going to train this? Because I've been doing a lot of that just to get the coordination down.
Exactly. And what I don't think enough players understand, and this is why it's sort of the difference between going through like an Olympic, lift,
Yeah.
but then actually doing it where you're explosive. So we can talk about this, that's sort of a chunking, but ultimately, so much
Would
faster
you ever
than
want me just to hit balls with my right hand? Or
Yes,
you do it.
100%.
So like, let's try
I
that.
wouldn't want you hitting anything
Not
more
long.
loft than like a 9-iron.
Like, I got a little wedge here.
I do it all the time, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
This is hard for me. It's gonna be hard for
It
you
is.
too.
Now,
Really hard for me.
here's the thing I want to point out, Russ. When you go back with that,
Yep.
arm, you must maintain the support of the torso.
That's hard.
If you don't go back with, if your body doesn't go with your arm, you're in trouble.
Right. You're 100% correct. Huh, that's hard.
Sure.
That's
Because
hard.
your first instinct from the top is to kind of slide and dive
It
your
is.
hips. This, for you specifically, this needs to feel very arm centric. So, I wouldn't want you going any further than this.
Okay.
Now, you kind of have to trust the feel of this, because if you start thinking it through, it's not going to happen. You got to feel like you're throwing. Because there's two. Let me just look in slow motion, stay right there.
Yeah.
So there's two elements to the throw. A throw has an acceleration and a release.
Yep.
That's why a lot of times I hear people trying to isolate the release, and people try to release without the throw, without the acceleration, or they accelerate and then they don't release. So that's an acceleration. No, don't see how much you want to come around.
Yeah.
Down. Nope. Don't flip the wrist, straighten the arm. That's it. That's it. There you go. You see that?
Yeah.
You see how you literally made the two errors that golfers make. They want to push the shoulder,
Which is over the top,
or they want to flip the hand.
which is left. Hard
So I
left.
was just doing this with Ellen earlier. You're up here, you got 3 joints to choose from. You got wrist, you got elbow, you got shoulder. And the elbow is the key to lead with. And so where does the arm go after the elbow drops? Now again, in the big picture, it's one fluid motion. Okay, but when we're chunking it out, we could go elbow down, extend. Now look at the beautiful, Ross, look at the way you bring the elbow down and extend. Look at the way your hips get out of the way.
Yeah.
Free.
Automatically.
It's free. You do not need to twist your body out of the way. Because it's to twist the body out of the way that dumps everything
Weakens
out.
everything.
Yeah. We don't actually rotate in the downswing until the club is put down here. It makes no sense, right? If my club was up here, why would I rotate? Now, as I'm doing that, is there any term you would use for what you see down there?
Squatting.
Yeah, squat to square. Again, I'm not really doing it on purpose. It's, you said it best earlier. I'm bracing against my left leg.
Well, that's what you wanted me to do last year.
And when this arm comes down, to me, it's human nature for the pelvis to come back to square. You know what I'm not trying to do? Spin my hips open.
Which is death.
Because once I get here, now my job is to extend my arm and actually push up and back. Now again, I think the up and back is a freebie if you try to extend down.
Right. So here we go. So it's here.
Exactly. I want you to try to, Russ, try to stop right there.
Right.
Understand you won't be able to because the club head is heavy.
Hit that ball with like a punch or
Like a punch. That's what we call impact. Okay, you got so focused on what you're doing at the bottom,
that I didn't.
you
I didn't finish
you
the top.
maintain your structure in the backswing. That's okay. That's all right.
You extend down. You extend down with both arms.
No, because you can't really extend down with both.
Just
because
your right.
because-
Just your right.
Yeah, just right because it's a leverage.
Okay.
Now you could with your left and let your right extend. But you guys need to turn your right.
Yes. That should be better.
That's fantastic.
That should be better.
It's funny how nobody likes what we describe as the punch swing, but everyone plays better with the punch swing.
That's what they say. I've read about it too.
The great Dave Pels, who just passed away.
Yeah.
So Pels did a deal. He worked up in the
I read this whole
up in the
thing.
mountains, and he took these college kids.
This is pretty interesting.
He told them to go out
And punch it.
and all they could hit was every club, drivers, wedges, everything.
I heard this exact.
Every
I read
one
it.
of them scoring average dropped like 2 shots.
And then they went back
And
to
then the
their.
next tournament, none of them did.
Then they wouldn't give it.
It's incredible, isn't it? That's how stubborn the human mind is with change.
Do you think it's stubborn, or you think they got scared?
I think those are one and the same. I think fear
Fear
masks,
does a lot.
Yeah, fear masks itself as anger,
Fear does a
stubbornness,
lot.
everything. Yeah, I think fear is the best description. That's fear of failure, fear of anything,
It's the truth.
fear of what your parents are going to say, fear of what
Truth.
your, whoever. Beautiful. And what it really highlights, Ross, is how much more.
It's a pretty good pitching wedge punched.
Totally. I'm telling you, to a person, everyone hits it farther and straighter with the punch. Because
Did you like
Yes.
like where I came?
and what I like is that when you have the intent to punch, here's what that really does.
Okay.
Now you don't over disconnect it here,
Right.
because the end justifies the means.
Right.
If I know this is where I'm going to go,
You feel like you don't have to
you don't have time
overcompensate.
exactly, because all your power is coming here anyway. So you don't overswing then in the backswing.
Right. Punch it again.
Yeah, punch it. It's all about the punch.
Healed.
Yeah, because there's your devastating backswing move where you just pick the club up.
That's it.
So
Without the turn.
right, so let's drop the club down here for a second. So if we didn't think about the club,
Yep.
this is what I call being process oriented. So I was telling Ellen earlier, stop making the tail wag the dog. Okay, if I move properly, that's
The
all
club
we're
will
talking
be
about
there.
doing. The club will be there. If I raise this and I pivot together, I 100% guarantee you your backswing will look like Rory McIlroy. It will be perfectly on plane because it's all about functional movement, not how you manipulate
The
the club.
rotate is key.
It's huge.
If I don't rotate, it could be disaster.
It could be, and that's why even when you first came to me, you were a pretty decent player, but you were so prone to getting stuck because you had great rotation, but you didn't have the matching
Up.
arm motion. And so I love showing people this. If you could master this, and it's really important that you feel that arm. So see how I'm not bending and straightening it. I'm not lifting the hands up.
You said it's core, not really your arms.
It's not. Oh, well, your core creates an environment that allows the arms to go up. And what I mean by that is the core drives it, but you still have to build an awareness of how the body moves. What I don't think enough golfers learn, Ellen's really been a victim of this, is they think turn. So this is what turn. Not really turn. It's a diagonal. So my knees are tilting, my pelvis is
It's
tilting.
really your right tushy going back.
Totally, and your left going forward.
Right.
So,
That's
so
turn.
if I turn and tilt on that axis,
That's the pivot.
it's very easy to raise the arm. If I stand up, the arm goes behind me. If I don't turn at all, I end up just picking it up. But if I can, and you're right, that for most of us, we feel that trail side stretching away. It's like Pete Cowan calls it a spiral. That's a great term. It's like a spiral staircase. As the stairs curve, they raise. So as the body turns, it raises. The right side gets higher than the left side. Yes. And I don't think that we see that, Ross. I don't think human beings see that. We see straight lines. We don't see angles very well. I think we have to teach ourselves to see those diagonals. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
So the elbow never raised there. It's going to help you out. Beautiful. And this is why, you know, I kind of wanted to interject when you said
As you
this.
said it was.
You just talked about how so important the body was, and I'm sitting there saying, no, it's not really as important as that arm. If you get body-centric, Ross, you're not going to raise that arm.
Which is key.
Which is key.
My only
It's
right.
ultimately got to blend them, but it's raising the arm that's the key.
That's the best one.
That's
That
outstanding.
was really good.
Because that's what most of us would just refer to as synchronization. You synchronize the vertical component with the rotational component.
Let's go to driver.
Not difficult.
Okay, let's just go to
Yeah,
driver.
go back.
Mike, can I hit driver from here? Or no?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, great.
I just want you to do it more back on the. I don't want you to hit driver off that down slope.
Oh, yeah, I don't like it.
Anywhere's fine. There you go.
'Cause I want to see if I can do
It's
that.
like a tree that's not
I wanna
growing.
get-
Yeah, you still see it? Am I in the
Nope.
And I want to keep reiterating this because even when you're doing your little rehearsal, I still feel like there's a tendency
Go ahead.
for you to want to pick this thing up.
100%.
See how it's like a bicep curl?
Yep.
So if I'm elevating it, you see how you don't see a lot of folding at
Do you
my
want?
elbows?
Do you want me to do that as my warm
I
up?
do. Now take that a little further
Alan, I almost swore.
and take.
That's effing good. I like
That's
that.
effing good.
That's effing good, Alan.
So that's the start of it.
That's
Now, if
it.
you wanted to finish that off, you'd let the right arm
So if
fold a
I-
little,
so-
and you'd let that one.
So when I'm
rotate
about
a
to
little bit.
when I'm about to tee off, part of my pre-shot,
Oh,
you'd like-
100%.
you like me to do this? Really?
I
good.
can't stress that enough. Now, the only thing we got to be careful, Ellen will love this, this is not the same thing as this. You see, I'm not standing up. So you're really oscillating the, yes, that's perfect. And I love it.
I want that video.
Ross, I'd rather it was going a little more up on the diagonal like that.
Okay.
Because you see how that's
I
all,
got it.
that's all the
It-
right
it's-
arm folds you need.
It's right there.
It's done. That's 80 degrees of
Let
fold.
me do this 5 times.
Yeah, don't push it across, just up.
You like that?
I love that. This is what learning experts would call chunking. So you're just taking one part of
There
the
we go.
swing and chunking it. Then you simply have to blend that together with your already good pivot.
So here we go. So watch this.
Yes, 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 yes. You know who does that all the time?
No,
Billy Horschel.
I love Billy too. He was on TV this morning.
That's a good miss. So
I got a little
love the
fa-
arm part, Ross. What you didn't do as well was the pivot.
I didn't pivot at all.
You pivoted, it wasn't in unison.
I chickened out.
I think that's probably a good word too.
I chickened out.
Anytime something feels a little
I
off,
didn't commit to it.
commits probably the
That's
best
it.
word.
You like this right here?
I do. Now that feels very up and away. It won't be when you add your pivot to it. That's crushed. That's so good. That's what happens when you blend arm motion, Ross. That just baked off the fence.
Yep.
That's what happens when you blend proper arm motion with proper body
And
motion.
then you just naturally tilt.
You naturally, I really do. To me,
So-
the idea of tilting is simply the fact of not coming out of your
Hello.
posture.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's my phone's on there. Let me grab that.
Oh,
off.
sorry.
It's all right.
I feel like you're starting to push them across. So without pivot, it's only up. So see how the pivot pulls it in? So you would never want your arms to create it across. It goes across because you add the pivot to it. So it's very hard to get your mind out of the fact that you don't push your hands across your body. Technically, your hands, when you're doing this up, Ross, your hands should never get outside the width of your right shoulder. Exactly. You feel that? So pivot takes it around the corner. Right. The arms elevate, the pivot takes it back. And then we just sync them up. You were doing great with this earlier, so I know you're close. Good. to me, the one element that you've lost that you were doing good earlier, and this is hard to do with the driver because it's so, but the element that you've lost is the reconnect, the down. I think with your irons, and you were sort of alluding to this, with your irons, there's a tendency for it to automatically reconnect.
Versus the driver.
The driver, I rarely see a player that doesn't have to reconnect it. Shit, the great Byron Nelson used to pull his elbow in so hard his wife had to sew patches on his shirts.
Yeah.
Because that's how hard he pulled his elbow in. Yeah. Because your body's actually trying to throw your arms away from you. So you're just matching up oppositional forces. As the arms pull down and in, the body rotates and they sync up for a beautiful swing. There we go.